Now, here's, of course, bad instructions in itself and a bad use of a graphic. Not just because it doesn't really further the process, but because that's a scary little girl.
I'm creeped out right now.
Right. The way she's staring at that grilled cheese, it's unsettling.
That is one good grilled cheese sandwich.
It better be delicious, or else we're all in a little bit of trouble.
But you look at that cheese and you go, ugh.
Yeah.
That looks like it came out of the day-old nacho machine.
It does. It's awful. But this shows that the graphic doesn't make us want to have a grilled cheese, right? It doesn't entice us as adults, and it sure as heck wouldn't get your students interested. They'd all be giggling and making extremely bad comments about the graphic. So it's very ineffective. But you can see how easy it is to make something on Word that can be either effective or ineffective.
Sweet, I like this one already.
Right?
Something creepy's not staring back at me.
Now we notice there's a lot of different elements involved. Okay? That you do have a picture of your end product. But the big thing for you as a teacher to see is that, especially for students, you're enticing them. This is much more enticing for a student. It may not entice you as much as an adult. You may just want the simple, basic things with a picture. But for you trying to communicate with students and students trying to communicate with each other, this is a lot more attractive for them.
And did you say you created this in Word and then converted it to a PDF, or in class you'd have your students work
I'd have my
Word?
students do it with Word.
Okay.
Because that's something they're still familiar with. Some students aren't familiar with how to run anything in PDF.
Okay.
They just know it's some kind of different program that they
They can read on any platform.
Right. So it's really a lot easier to do in Word for all of them. And as you create it, or just take this and run with it, what you're going to do is, I'll get back to your handout here and say, you're going to pair students up, and they're each going to choose a different recipe. And they're going to create it themselves, first of all, so they know what they're doing. And then go back in and write their own instructions on Word. And they're going to start editing it with each other. They're going to go back and forth with their partner to figure out what's good, what's bad, how to change it. And they're going to come up with basically a good recipe. And I have a rubric included if you want to use that, or you can create your own. I gave you some sites for it. But just to be able to create something and communicate effectively for them. So they also get a better understanding of you as a teacher, what you're going through as well.
Okay.
And I'm sure it'll take a few tries, and I'm sure you're gonna, have some burnt cheese or some horrible tasting Rice Krispie treats, which I didn't think were possible until I started doing this with kids. But it's a great time for the kids, and they come out totally duped into learning about English and doing some basic fundamental things. You get to pull one over on them.
I like that.
Yeah, it's always fun when you can be a little conniving and sneaky.
The shoe was on the other foot.
For once, right?
Yeah.